Alright, next drama. We have Hyojin, aka Squizzy, being accused of abuse. Okay, we have this audiobook because I hate reading by Boblax. Thank you, Boblax. Actual goat. Alright, we're gonna put it in 2 times speed since it's a bit long. Yeah, and if you don't know, this is Punk Duck, sorry, right here. Yeah, and he's the one making the accusation, so let's get into it.
Goes by Squizzy Online, is a popular Twitter artist and animator who is most well known for helping push the false allegations against Slazo, as well as
Yeah, that's another part of it. She pushed false pedo accusations against another YouTuber known as Slazo, which actually ended in him quitting, which is kind of sad, right? And he also dated Pyrocynical, a furry who likes farting and inflation. So yeah, for me to say I'm like super surprised that she's abusive is I would be lying.
being the ex-girlfriend of YouTuber Pyrocynical. Since her breakup with Pyro, she went on to date Punk Duck, but now that is no longer the case, as Punk Duck just released a huge document on Twitter explaining how Hyojin abused him and why they are not together anymore. His post starts with him saying, TLDR, my ex-partner Hyojin/Squizzy was abusive to me, both emotionally and physically, from 2019 till the back half of 2021. They berated me, put me down, and assaulted me, the worst of which is on page 2. Evidence of it is linked at the end. For 2.5 years, I was trapped in an extremely abusive relationship with Hyojin/Squizzy that I both could not escape and could not tell anybody about. I'm writing this now because I consistently see my ex popping up in my feed, thanks to the wonders of Twitter and YouTube algorithm, not to mention people reposting their content. I brought this up to Hyojin directly.
I mean, you could block them. I don't know. It wouldn't have been that hard. I don't know.
And while the apology they sent was nice and all,
or even mute them, right? Like that way they don't know. You just don't see it.
They've given me is well and truly for life. I initially planned to keep this private, but I reached a boiling point of how much I'm willing to lie to protect their image, both to my friends and my family. So it's time I got this off my chest. Where do I even begin? When we started dating, it was fine, great even, for a while. The first 6 months were mostly fine. Occasionally they would do the classic, redirect anger you are feeling from unnecessary issues to your partner and berate me, but I kept being promised it would stop and I believed it. They were, however, constantly materialistic, even at the cost of my own feelings. Constant arguments over what I wear, what I buy.
Yeah, this sounds like they're just being like a fucking freak controlling, alright? That's something like, I don't know, like, it's a shitty thing to do, right? But I don't think that this person should, like, lose their entire income over it, right? I feel like that's a common theme throughout this is, like, I think this Hyojin person is very shitty, but I'm not sure they should lose any monetary shit, right? They should definitely be socially condemned, but, yeah.
And what I do on nights out were in order because anything they would do would be a status thing, and they wanted me to act the same way so I wouldn't embarrass them. Anytime arguments would happen, they would always be my fault in one of 2 ways. I either actually fucked up, or it was a problem they would cause. I would try to approach them and tell them how they hurt me, and I wanted to talk about it, and it would instantly turn into emotional manipulation and accusations of, you were just doing this to make me feel stupid, just fucking leave then. I would end up apologizing and nothing would be resolved. Whatever I had brought up to them would just be added to the growing list of repeated behavior. The main thing I would bring up to them was the anger redirection, which culminated around March 2022. Sorry, a lot of things I bring up will be out of order. They came to visit me a couple days after COVID started. Bad timing. After it did, we soon realized that we had to go back to Australia before flights ran out. It was a very stressful time for everybody involved, but it certainly did not help that whenever my parents weren't in the room, I was an emotional punching bag, like all of it was my fault, and any help I suggested would be responded to in screams. At one point,
I don't know. It's kind of weird, like, were your parents in the other room, and, like, as soon as they left, like, she just started screaming at you? Like, they would have heard that, right? And actually, I guess they probably wouldn't have come back in. Yeah, never mind.
They screamed at me that I was fucking useless and forced me out of my own room so they could stream to raise money for the ticket. Naturally, I obeyed their orders and made them dinner while they streamed. When they came downstairs, I apologized to them. Even worse, my mom caught wind of
bitch, he made her dinner, bitch. No. I'm fucking around. I don't think that.
How much they were screaming at me, and was getting increasingly worried for them. My mother wasn't aware that Hyojin had just finished a fundraising stream, or that Hyojin is fucking loaded. Thinking that they were some starving college kid, she offered to pay for the impromptu flight from Europe to Australia in full. Hyojin immediately accepted. I felt fucking gross.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you know you have enough money to do something, you should fucking, like, do it yourself, right? You shouldn't be taking money from, like, I can understand why she did it, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe if somebody offered me to pay for my flight, even though I had the funds necessary, you know, I would do it. But then again, why is she fundraising for a stupid ass fucking trip, right? Like, why would you do that? I don't know.
They only ended up paying my mother back exactly 1 year later, with me constantly reminding them for months. Impromptu tickets to Australia are not fucking.
I mean, at least I paid her back. Like, I don't know. They paid her back. Why do I care, right? Like, she eventually did it.
Being cheap, turns out. I visited them for emergency reasons back in the summer of 2019, and still got fucking yelled at because I had a migraine from how hot it was at one point, and asked if we could go home early so I could rest. They screamed at me, saying I ruined their night, and they didn't allow me to sleep in the bed that night. I was promised things would get better. What really made things spiral out of control was New Year's 2020. I'd flown down.
Maybe just don't be sick, lol. Eat more dirt as a child so you have a better immune system. maybe try some of that horse medicine, okay, and then you'll feel better.
To Australia for a couple weeks to be with Hyojin and their family. On New Year's itself, we bought a tent and planned to be in a park to watch the fireworks. Was fun, till they once again called me fucking useless, and yelled at me because I was struggling to figure out how to build the tent, while they sat there and did nothing. Massive scene in the middle of a very crowded park. Was fun. At that point, that shit was bouncing off of me. A couple days after, on January 3rd, 2020, my partner had received an early press copy of a game, and asked for help installing it. Turns out getting early copies to work on Steam is fucking ball ache. The usual stuff happens.
It's kind of weird. I don't know why Squizzy would get an early copy. She's like an animator, right? Not a gaming person. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. All right?
blaming me, etc., telling me to fuck off so I just go and sit on their bed on the verge of tears. They proceeded to, in the same room I'm in, get on a Discord chat with their friends and start chatting like nothing is going on. I lie there in pure disbelief, mustering up the courage to ask, are you actually doing this? Bad idea. Very bad idea. Hyojin deafens the call. I tell them what they did is fucked up, and they hit me hard. So hard, in fact, my head bounces off the wall. We just...
Yeah, like, Jesus. I don't know. Like, obviously hitting someone is really shitty, and you should not do it, but like, if it was an isolated incident and it only happened once, right? I don't even know maybe this person, like, they shouldn't not get a serious jail sentence, right? Maybe, like, I don't know, maybe a station in the night would be like, or maybe a night in the station would be like, okay, you know, like, obviously it's really shitty and you shouldn't beat your partner, but like, if it was just an isolated incident, I don't really care that much, you know?
stand there, motionless, and without saying a word, I ask, what the fuck did you just do? They start crying and storm out into a guest room in their house. This was the first moment I realized I was in an abusive relationship. For a year, it was emotional, and now
yeah, they started crying. That is kind of abusive, you know, like, if you hurt them and then play the victim, like, I don't know, I fucking hate it when people have, like, this victimhood about them, right? Like, I know some people like this in real life who are just, they're professional victims, okay? Their entire life centers around them being a fucking victim, and that's all they ever talk about, and they bitch and they moan. It's annoying, and I hate being around those people.
Physical. So I did what most responsible people do. I fucking panicked. I phoned up one of our friends who lived nearby, explained to him what just happened as quickly as possible, and bless his fucking soul, he saved my life. I asked him if I could stay with him for the remainder of my trip, and he instantly agrees. He immediately calls an ambulance to their house and an Uber for myself so I can get to his place. I start gathering my shit as fast as I can, so I can leave without Hyojin walking in on me.
Yeah, and I mean, that was probably one of the best things you could have done, you know, getting out of there.
I can leave without Hyojin walking in on me packing. Hyojin walks in on me packing, asks me what I'm doing. Before I can answer, they realize. They start crying that I've already ruined their year. I tell them I'm fucking terrified of them. They run into the bathroom and grab a knife. At first, they pointed at me. I lunged to try and disarm them, and they scratch up my arm pretty bad. I managed to get the knife, but it was at this point that their mother walked in.
Yeah, this is just crazy bitch behavior, alright?
She starts screaming at Hyojin, saying they are an attention whore, a drama queen, how they always do this, and that they are sick in the head. And then she just walks away like she didn't see anything. Lovely woman. The police show up along with the ambulance. I tell them what happened, and they take my partner away. I take the Uber to my friend's place. Once at this house, he and his flatmates tried to get my mind off shit, but at this point, I'm catatonic. I was lost. I had no idea where my life was gonna go in the next couple days. Hyojin texts me, tells me we're through, tells me I've ruined their life. It's all my fault that they're gonna get a criminal record, tells me how I don't love them, and I apologize. The police let them go with a warning. We spend an hour texting, and Hyojin manages to convince me that this whole ordeal is my fault. Hyojin forces me to pay for an Uber to take them to the place I'm staying at, so they can drop the rest of my shit off. I forgot.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like, she's being an asshole still, even after, like, it's like, this is a really fucked up thing to do, like, where you hurt someone and then pretend you're the victim. It's fucking awful. I hate it.
Forgotten my toothbrush. Hyojin makes me meet with them outside so we can talk. I pretty much end up begging for them to take me back, and they do. We get back together. I even end up helping them write a statement for the police so they don't get a criminal record. I was promised that things would get better. Forgiving them for this was the worst mistake of my life. Letting that go basically opened up the floodgates for every piece of textbook abuse you can imagine. How the mildest complication means I don't love them. Me moving in with my friends instead of getting a place of my own meant I didn't love them. Their words. Constantly suicide baiting. Telling them that if I leave, they would kill themselves. Telling me my friends suck and I should cut them off. And then projecting that somehow I'm the one that hates their friends. My favorite thing about that was how—
Yeah, this is... I don't know. Punk Duck should have definitely broke up with them. I hate to be that, like, gay-ass motherfucker who's like... like, judging other people's relationship, you know, and, like, you know, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but in this situation, you should have broken up, right? Like, that's not even debatable.
one of the breakups, yeah, they impromptu broke up with me like 5 times throughout our relationship, happened because they had an argument in a Discord server with one of their close friends, and ended the combo on a sour note. Instead of working it out privately, Hyojin asked me to berate the other guy. I said no, you guys are both adults, you should talk privately. Me yelling at the guy would just be—
I don't know, it seems like they weren't getting out of, like, they were each not getting out of the relationship what they wanted, right? Like, obviously Hyojin wanted a big buff manly man to do whatever she wanted. You know, who she could hit without bouncing off the wall, right? And you know, Punk Dog just wanted a nice, calm life, and she was being a total bitch.
Counterproductive. When I kept declining after Hyojin insisted, they broke up with me. They would also do the classic move using my insecurities against me. From using my car accident to belittle me in public service with people I barely knew, while I, quite literally in the ICU, were bringing up friends of mine who passed away to get a rise out of me during arguments.
Jesus Christ, dude, man. That is really fucked up. Like, I don't know, man. Imagine somebody dies, and you like, one of your boyfriend's friends dies, and you bring up an argument, you're like, oh yeah, well, maybe I didn't do the dishes because your bitch-ass friend died. Ever think about that one? bitch-ass Brent. Yeah, he's 6 feet under now, fuckface.
Incredibly normal behavior. For the last year of our relationship, Hyojin would constantly remind me that reconnecting with old friends who moved back to Belgium was making them fall out of love with me, since we weren't spending every waking day together on Discord, and they'd get mad at me whenever I tell them what me and my friends got up to that
Discord kitten.
day. For all of 2021, I was basically looking for a way out. I knew I couldn't break up with them because they would somehow use it against me. They are incredibly vindictive. For example, that guy I stayed with during New Year's, shortly after the New Year's incident, him and Hyojin stopped being friends. Because of this, Hyojin celebrated any time they'd hear any sort of negative news about the guy, and was looking forward to hearing more, saying shit along the lines of,
I mean, that's understandable, bro. Like, I celebrate the faults of my enemies, okay? You should too.
hoping they all regret the day they crossed Squizzy, hyojin, etc. I was so afraid of what hyojin would do to themselves if I broke up with them for honest reasons, so I waited for something to happen that would let me end things in a way that seemed mutual. COVID was a fucking godsend in that regard, and finally gave me the way out I needed, telling them that we should break up because it's getting harder and harder for us to see each other. We didn't talk for a month to let emotions settle. We got back in touch afterwards, and it was fine, until they asked me to not speak to them again because their new partner wasn't comfortable with them talking to their ex. I obliged. We got back in touch a couple months later, and even joined a Discord server with a lot of my close friends. But the more I reflected on my experience, the more terrified I was to have them this close to me, so I politely asked them to leave. They sent thinly veiled threats my way, and removed me on everything.
Yeah, see, it's weird that like they were fine with cutting him off before, but now it's a big deal. Okay, you can't cut me off. It's fucking.
A week later, they found out I started telling my close friends everything you've just read. They got mad at me one last time, called my behavior childish, and attempted to convince me I was never abused in the first place. I told them off, and here we are. That about covers it. I kept this hidden for so long because I was afraid of what they would do to themselves if people found out. They constantly told me, especially after the New Year's event, that if people found out about this, they would kill themselves. My own brain can only go on for so long covering for my abuser, and I was getting real tired of lying to my friends. Now I brought this up to hyojin directly, and they apologized to me and reassured me that they are seeking help. While that is nice to hear, I have a hard time believing them since the apology came 24 hours after calling me childish, and the quite honestly shit attempt at gaslighting. Weeks before our breakup, they told me they lied throughout our entire relationship about seeking a therapist and being medicated because, quote, I lied to make you feel better. Let's be real, it feels like somebody else wrote it. Needless to say,
Yeah, true. Shout out.
their apology fell flat, and I have no intentions of ever reconnecting with them. And because this is Twitter, and I'm obviously just doing this for clout, attached at the end of this text log is both their apology where they acknowledge that all of this happened, their attempt to shut me down, and text logs after they were released from jail after the events of New Year's 2020. Abusers deserve no sympathy. If you are trapped in a situation like this, don't wait for things to get better. Leave and do not look back. I believed every promise every time. Don't make the same mistakes I did. And then below his tweet, he links a Google.
All right, yeah. Then he just goes into basically evidence that all this happened, right? And it's just a bunch of text messages. If you really want to watch this video, okay, I suggest you go check out Bo Black's video, Hyojin, Squizzy, Punk Duck. This is basically undeniable proof all that stuff happened, right? You know, and basically my thoughts, right? You know, obviously Hyojin's a really shitty person for doing all this. Here's also the original sources if you want to go see that. Obviously Hyojin's a really shitty person for doing this. So Squizzy, but you know. I don't know if she should experience major loss because of it. You know, it was quite a while ago, and you know, it's nothing major happened, right? Like she wasn't beating the fuck out of him every day. It was an isolated incident where she hit him, and you know, she's just kind of an asshole, right? And yeah, and then you know, I think she's actually lost, like, I don't know, she's lost some subs though, because I think she was a little over 1 million before, right? And these comments are shitting all over her. You know, what a wonderful animal. I sure hope they treat their significant others with respect and love they deserve. Squizzy collecting controversies like fucking Boy Scout bagels. Finally, people are finding out that Squizzy is a horrible person. As a Power fan, I'm glad she's finally getting recognized as a manipulative, toxic person. It's honestly a bit worrying how many people do not know about Squizzy being an abusive psycho, but still, better late than never, I guess. Yeah, dude. Completely shat all over, okay? And this is gonna be a top video on her channel for a while, right? Because she's a bitch ass animator who makes these like shit ass fucking animations, okay? And yeah, so you know, when people go check out her channel and see all this what's going on in the comments, they're gonna see, oh, this person fucking sucks asshole. Yeah, that's kind of it though. Fuck you, Hyojin. I don't think you should experience major harm, but I also do because you're an enemy.